Hello, my love. Welcome to the episode 2 of the Desi Shame Slayer Podcast. And I just finished recording a heart opener for my beautiful email list. So if you're not on my list, you can absolutely still get it by clicking down the link below. That's an absolute banger. Like, I just felt so activated to come and record this episode just after I finished it. And my God, you are going to feel full chills. You're gonna feel so much energy move. And there's a little transmission at the end. There's some tapping, there's some visualization. I am thinking, how did I fit all of that into 17 minutes? And the practice is actually 15 or less minutes. I just have an introduction and an outro at the end. So you feel supported. But oh my God, that's an absolute banger. I love doing some energy work with all of you beautiful, beautiful humans, beautiful hearts, beautiful lovers, and I think you are absolutely gonna love it. So check it down. And wow, I feel I'm already slowing down as I count towards today's podcast episode. And I want to share with you the story of how my heart really opened. And wow, so much is coming through. I might cry because I'm gonna share the story of my grandfather, who I call Baba, and how him leaving this world finally, finally helped me open my heart. How the grief of his death um, pushed me deeper into my path. So, giving you a little bit of context, in 2020, before the pandemic and everything, I had a big fight with my dad in January around. I did not say a lot to him, but I was really mad. And I thought I'm just not going to call him or talk to him. And that was my way of exerting control over the situation. I'm like, fuck you. I'm not going to be the quote unquote good daughter, the eldest daughter, all those things. And that was the time when I really had to force myself to not feel any love towards my father. And what happened was I was fighting him and I decided I'm not going home. I'm going to stay in Bangalore for the rest of my days until and unless I just find a better solution. And that led me, wow, that led me to staying there during the pandemic. Um, I was going through my health crisis. It had already started. I was losing weight. I didn't understand why. At first, it felt good, but then I was like, what the fuck is happening? Because I can't concentrate. I can't do the chores without feeling so exhausted by the end of the day. And it was around September, October when I heard the news of my grandfather slipping into the bathroom. And then they had to admit him. And transparently, very honestly, if that event hadn't happened, I would still be angry at my dad at that time. But when I heard this news, I decided I'm going to come back to my parents. We were living in Rajasthan at the moment, so my family was there. My uncle and my grandfather were somewhere near Lucknow, where I'm living in right now, and my dad traveled all the way to see him, and I just had this feeling of regret come over me that if I don't make it back home, like I might miss the chance or like something bad's gonna happen, like just that premonition in my head. So I came back. I came. I didn't come back. Came back. I just keep saying I came back. I came and started living. I started living with my family. I wrapped up my apartment, put all of my stuff in a friend's house, and almost a year passed, and there was so much chaos at home about my health, about my marriage, about my siblings' schools, and the COVID, and all of those beautiful things. I can call them beautiful right now because they were transformational in all of our beings, but at the time they were too chaotic. I remember booking a flight in October of 2021, almost a year later after moving in with my parents. And I had this feeling one day, I just woke up like Sunday. I just woke up and I was like, I just want to see him. I just want to travel all the way back to Lucknow, where I'm right now. And I want to see my grandfather. He was hospitalized again, and he was actually in a nursing home this time. It was all elderly people. This was not a hospital, but it was more like a care ward or something like that. I don't know, but knowing just that in the kind of place he's been admitted to, I just felt scared that he might not make it. And I came to Lucknow the next day. Like, I just was like, my intuition said, go, I'm just going. And I came. And the moment I saw him, his body had swollen up. There was too much complications. The man I remembered, I didn't see him. And that broke me because I just felt so angry at myself for not keeping in touch for so many years, because my grandfather had Alzheimer's, and for a couple of years, I think 1 or 2 years before, around 2018 or 2019, I would video call him and he would not recognize me. And my uncle had to always tell me, oh, this is this. And she's the eldest one, and like blah blah's daughter. And I was too scared to admit to myself that he's losing his memory. He's not able to recognize me. So I avoided any form of communication with him. And I lost all those years. And my biggest regret was not staying in touch with my grandfather. And I loved him dearly. He meant a lot to me. He was a person who he read a lot of my poems when I wrote them as a teenager. He even marked me. I remember one of my poems, he gave me like 89 out of 100. Um, we went on walks together when I would go to my village. Also showed me this, like, this is wheat, this is blah blah, this is that. I would always forget. But he loved walks. He was spiritual. He read books. I'm a lot like him. And I just felt, wow, I did not keep in touch because he didn't remember me. Is that a good enough reason? I don't know. I'm sweating because I don't have the fan on, because if I had the fan on, the voice would not even be half as good. So let's continue. I loved my grandfather dearly and avoided the love that I had for him because I was running away from my own feelings, from my own fears that one day I might have to face the consequences. I might have to face the truth that he is not immortal, he's mortal, just like me, and death is a very true reality of our life, of our world. I remember the next day, while I stayed in Lucknow, I I had actually enrolled in a spiritual program at the time, and we had to do this practice twice a day, but I could only do it once that day. And I went to a park that was near our accommodation, and I was just so angry. And I was doing my practice, but I was just so angry. And I was like, why is he leaving? And that's the pretext. My anger was not at him for leaving. My anger was at me for not keeping in touch. But that realization, that awareness, that work that I did, it came later. In that moment, I just remembered he is leaving. How dare he leave me? Like the anger was so strong. Like, how dare he leave me? Because I was also angry at him for having Alzheimer's. Like, that makes no logical sense right now, but as a grandkid, I was really mad at him for having Alzheimer's. Like, how dare you have Alzheimer's and leave me? How dare you forget me? And now you're just gonna leave me forever? I love him. I love him a lot. And something I remember, which was a beautiful synchronicity, was I was sitting in this park and I was walking, and there was just like this big swarm of dragonflies somewhere in front of me. And that's the first time I'd seen so many dragonflies together. And I think if I hadn't seen so many together, I wouldn't have paid attention. So I saw all these beautiful dragonflies together and I searched. Like, I was in my spiritual girl, like newbie spiritual, like has to know every single thing. Like, what does this mean? What does this number mean? What does this animal synchronicity mean? What does this dream mean? And I researched what did the dragonfly mean, and it said dragonfly is a symbol of maturity and transformation, the transformation that comes through maturity. And I was like, what the fuck is that? What the actual fuck is that? What is this maturity about? And I also remember I wanted to be the bigger person that day. So the second day when I visited him, I was just like next to my grandfather and I was holding his hand. I was like, you can go now. Like, you're free to go. All while having the anger, like, why he's leaving. I was, you're free to go. Thinking back, oh my God. Like, I had no idea. But I was like, I am the special person. I am the cycle breaker. I'm the generational curse breaker. I have to be the bigger person. And I said, you can go. And the second day, I actually went to the terrace of that care home, that nursing home, and at the boundary of it. So it's like the nursing home is this side, and the other side, oops, and the other side of um, the boundary is a beautiful park. And I had this realization and then download or something just clicked. Like at the time, I was not so psychic or spiritual or anything. But what landed for me in that moment was life is ending and life is beginning, and this is almost like this wall and this boundary is almost like a portal. So life is leaving and ending because it was an elderly care home. Oh, it was for old people, but then there was a beautiful park and there was kids and they were playing and there was so much noise and there was like laughter and crying and almost all the emotions. And I saw the contrast and I was angry. I had a lot of anger back then because I just didn't want to feel sad. I didn't want to feel grief because that made me weak. I had no control when I was grieving. I had no control when I was sad. Like, what can I do next? And that was like, no answer. Are you kidding me? No answer? But when I have so much anger towards people, I can be like, you did this wrong, you did this wrong, I'm forgiving you because I am the bigger person. And that's what little Shubhangi was doing 4 or 5 years back. She was angry. I use anger as a weapon, as my armor, because you fucking cannot hurt me when I'm angry. Nobody can hurt me. Like, that's the shield that I put. But when my grandfather passed away a month, 1.5 months later after that visit, the walls started coming down. It finally started hitting me. He's not going to be there. I'm not going to have that walk with him again, where he'll tell me this is a wheat stock and not any other thing. I'll not catch him reading his spiritual books. He would not come and give me prasad after his morning puja, morning meditation. Gone. And that's when I realized I had so much love within me that was not expressed, so much love that I had to give, but I stopped myself from giving it to him. Like, what's the use? Like, my constant thing was like, what's the use? He will not be able to receive it. But so what, Shubhangi? If he's not able to receive it, at least you can fucking keep the love and be at peace that you did your best. I used to base a lot of my worth, a lot of my usefulness on how people received me rather than how I presented myself. And that made me powerless. Like, if you pay close attention to this, what did I have control over? My actions, how I presented myself, how I gave love, what actions did I do? But what was I focusing on instead? How will they receive me? Will they even receive me? Will this even be helpful? And I had no control over that. I had no power over that. But I was trying to control their reactions. I was trying to control other people, which was also a people pleasing tendency. If you know, you know. And that helped me recognize the way that I was showing up in all of my relationships all across the world was trying to control their perception of me and only giving them as much love as I think they can receive. Not how much love, as much as I have. But when I started flipping the script in not just my relationship with my grandfather, but with my siblings, with my parents, with my friends, with my mentors, with my clients, with any random stranger on the street, like sometimes love would mean you. I would not sit and complain about things with you, but I know you're better than this. I know you deserve more. I know that the relationship wasn't meant to be. I know that you deserve a better job. You're sitting on your ass not applying for anything. And that will be the form of love I give you. A form of love would be like, why are you not using your voice anymore? Why are you not doing videos when you told me to keep you accountable? Why are you not going on that solo date you said you are going to go on? Why are you telling me about other people? And also, like, I love to do this for you. I love to remember your birthday. I love to remember it's your kid's birthday, like for some of my married friends. And there were so many different ways that I expressed love, that I love to love people. Like sometimes sending surprise gifts, and sometimes receiving gifts, sometimes sending a heartfelt notes about something that touched my heart years back. Just letting that person know. The biggest blessing of my grandfather's death, and it might sound very cruel, you still hold grief, but the biggest blessing from his death was I learned about love. I learned about holding back love. I learned about giving people roses while they were still alive, though we don't give roses in my culture. But it was like, if it was my last day or your last day, like, I would still want you to know how much I love and appreciate you. And if it's not great, I can tell you again and again until either of us decides to leave. The true depth of love is not how much pain you feel, it's how much your heart is willing to stay open, even when it wants to shut down. I wanted to freaking shut down. I was shut down for years. And then something happened which changed my life, which opened my heart. Yes, I went through a career, I don't even know what to call. Career loss is not the right word. Job loss is also not the right word. It's like epiphany of why I'm doing what I'm doing. My work as a software engineer is not fulfilling me. The ending of different friendships, the ending of a relationship, the ending of who I thought I was, the ending of my dreams and hopes, and the picket fences that I thought I was going to paint with my husband. And I realized, like, that was really not me. Who was me? I had to rediscover all of that. Because a closed heart holds so much grief. I held so much grief in my own story that I had to take some time and look back. How do I want to love again? How do I want to love myself again? How do I want to love my people again? My family, my friends, and how do I want to receive love from people? How do I want to be loved? And something that I don't take anything lightly, like anything that happens in my world, small or big, I will take it as a sign, just like those dragonflies. And this is so personal. Like this whole podcast was personal, but this is so freaking personal. I think it was 1.5 to 2 years back when I was thinking about my grandfather, and there's this other thing about grief. It wouldn't go all in one cycle. Like there will be moments when you do feel it, and then you can navigate it because you've really processed the depth of it once, so you've got the confidence to go through it again and again without taking as much time, because you've developed the skills, you've developed the tools, you know that you can do it, you've had that resilience. So that was beautiful. So a couple of years back, I had this weird phase where I was missing my grandfather, and I just kept hearing, like, look for him in the butterflies, look for him in the butterflies. And just then I just looked out of my window and there was a beautiful yellow butterfly. And the reason I'm telling you this, I wore a necklace today and it had a yellow butterfly, and twice, like, when I put it on, it just fell. And then I somehow managed to put it, but when I was setting up my mic and everything, it fell again. And I thought, okay, this must not be coincidence. The yellow butterfly wants to show up. So I don't know if any of you were asking sign, or maybe 5 years down the line, someone is watching this and that's like, I asked for a yellow butterfly and I got it from a 5 year old video. Could always be true, could always be true. But yellow butterfly, he's here. He's watching this. And last week, before recording the first podcast, I just went, oh, my grandfather would be so proud of watching me do this. And I cried like 3 times already that day. I haven't cried today. I hadn't cried in this podcast episode. I just sweated a bit. But I'm really glad I got to share this story. So if you're going through some form of grief or loss, Take your time. Take your time. And also, time alone wouldn't change everything. To develop awareness, we need some tools to get the help that you need as well. Because grief consumes us. Grief is a raging river with no ends. I think I read something like that. Grief is a raging river. And grief is only love that has not found an outlet. So the more of a safe space you can find where you have an outlet for all these difficult emotions, for anger, for grief, for love to come out, the more beautiful your life would become. So, anywho, and also, this is a perfectly open invitation. If you don't have anyone that you can turn to, hit me up with a text and maybe we can build something together for you and help you move through this beautiful phase of grieving and into healing and opening your heart, beautiful heart, and just coming back to opening your heart. The practice, the practice that I just recorded before this is in the description. Go and check it out. It's a beautiful practice. It will help you open your heart. This will be a good starting point. And if you love the practice, you can always share it on socials and tag me. I would love to celebrate you and your beautiful wins too. And with that, we're wrapping up. We're wrapping up the second episode of the Desi Shame Slayer Podcast. I am your host, Shubhangi. I help you heal your heart. I help you heal from heartbreak and just love so wildly and openly that you move through the world embodying love. I'll see you next week in episode 3. And maybe we will do one bonus episode